Good morning, everybody. 8:16 a.m. It is May 7th. Welcome to my channel. Yesterday, we just continue to push up. We actually had an open test drive higher. I was looking to get long, boy, all day. And then I did get the pullback. Unfortunately, it didn't set up for my trading style. I would have just basically got in. However, that would have worked. All right, even a second pullback that I had a chance in futures around 73.65 pullback, that would have worked as well. But that's okay, right? If I'm not fully committed or have that process locked in, like it's kind of like I'm jumping in, and I don't like how that makes me feel when I do that, unless I have something that I see over and over again. Now, in my community, we had a couple discussions about this, pulling triggers, being hesitant, right? And yesterday, based on my experience, I had no doubt we were going to break the overnight highs yesterday. So if I just show you this chart, right? And let's look at, now remember, this is yesterday's session, right here. That's the 30-minute bar price action, right? This is the overnight. We opened here, right? Remember what I said? In my pre-market scenarios, I said the midpoint of the overnight session is a place to look. Okay? It basically came back there. Right there, opened up, right? And when this was happening, the ticks, which are right here, were just painting green. Okay? Now, yesterday, semis were down initially off the open. So the QQQ, you can see it right here. You can see the price action and the difference. Semis got a little weaker here. People started taking some profits. AMD started reversing, right? But that was only temporary. Okay? So one stat that I want to just point out that I talk about a lot in my community is 97% of all overnight highs and lows get hit in the real-time trading hours, regular time trading hours, 97% of the time. So once we were here, I said, all right, I just want to get something to go long. Now, if you look at the SPY, right, I was waiting for the pullback. Now, on this chart, this is a 15-minute. We did pull back to VWAP. Then we retested it again, right? But when I'm looking at it, I like to trigger in on a 1-minute chart. I didn't really see what I like to see. All right, I usually like to see some powerful move up, pull back, then I get in. There wasn't really, you could even see it here, kind of. There wasn't really a pull. Look at it, just like up, 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 right? So now, what I'm going to probably try to do in the future, when I am convicted, right? Let's say the overnight highs are going to get hit. And then, just to give you another thing, I want to hit you with this one more thing. See, the NASDAQ did not take out its overnight highs for a while. It was down here. And the ES already did that. And then I was like, ooh, that's more fuel. The NASDAQ should take out its overnight highs, right? So that's why I was looking for that pullback. Okay. I think what I'm going to try to do in the future, I talked about this in my community, is when I see something like this, ticks are green, holding green, it's very bullish. Internals, we're building right here. All the markings, and NVIDIA pull back to VWAP. All the markings, right? What I'm going to probably try to do and make a system of it is if I see that strength and we get an initial pullback or off the open, I see strength, I'm probably going to scale in like do 25% of my position on another pullback, 25%. And then if I see strength, maybe add in to strength. That way I'm not all in, all out. I have some room for error because there was no doubt in my mind, if you were in my community, when I said we're going to hit the overnight highs. I have no doubt in my mind. So that's what I'm going to try to do and make a system out of it, because otherwise, when price action is like it is, and you have price just like off the open push up kind of range, and then you do this, and then you're ranging, right? It's like, oh God, I need a pullback. Then yeah, I got it, right? But it just didn't set up how I typically like to enter, right? I mean, in 15 minute, oh man, double test the VWAP, that's a long. Well, I didn't get to see what I want. Now, I got long in here somewhere and had excursion, but I got stop, break even. And I even said, this is going to be a problem for the first try to push up, and it was. And then you got that with NVIDIA pulling back the VWAP. So just wanted to share that with you. So I had two break even trades. Okay. And I need to make a system. I'm confident that the market was going to move up, but it just wasn't giving me a trigger to get in. All right. Now, that being said, crude is down 4% today. Okay. Today there's some Fed speak. All right. We're currently gapping up in the ES, but we're not in the NASDAQ. Why? Because semis are weak this morning. They're down over 1%. AMD's down 2%. Broadcom's down 0.63. There's probably other semis down as well. Okay? So a little change at a guard today. Does that change things? I don't know. I'm just bringing that up. Of course, there was more peace talk yesterday. It's not done yet. Okay? Now, let's get into it. Welcome to my channel. My name is Steve Gonzalez. Use market profile, volume profile to find structure in the markets, along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. That is my edge. That's how I come up with game plans. Now, once that market opens, I use my market internals. Okay, it's very crucial for me to see what's driving the market. Also use Anchor VWAPs, my weekly expected move indicator that I give for free for Thinkorswim on my Discord, gamma flip points that are pivot points, right? They're gamma exposure flip points from positive to negative. Very important. I give them for free on my Discord as well. Okay. Little ICT and smart money. And basically, it's my own system. Okay. Now, in these environments where your just momentum is so much, it's not, this is not common. This doesn't happen a lot when the momentum is just up. The momentum is up. The headline risk is there, right? It's not somewhat moving normally how normal markets move. Okay? It's just a lot of buying. Not really giving opportunity like normal markets do. Okay? Now you have to adjust to it. Okay? You have to adjust to it. Now, hopefully, you join me every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, the market news, that down counter, technical analysis. And as always, at the end of the stream, I give you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. All right, I go live every day around 9:45 a.m. Okay. Now, today we're going to highlight my weekly expected move indicator. QQQ has hit it and is currently right above it. Now, whenever, so let me see if I can show you that here. There's my weekly expected move right here, that green line. That's the expected move to the upside in the QQQ, 694.23. Currently, we're at 696. We're right about here. Okay. Now, if the market hangs out here, I don't think there's much room to the upside. If it crushes it, we're at 698 today, we could push a lot higher. But when it plays around with the weekly expected move, Tends to be the end of the move. Now that means that we either fall back today or tomorrow. Okay. SPY 736 is the weekly expected move. 26, which if I push down this chart is right there. We are very close to that pre-market at 735. Now, when both markets, okay, are by their expected move, that does pique my interest that the options market has not priced in a move above those levels. Okay. Now, the other one I go for the triple-headed monster of this would be SPX. So if I pull down this, the expected move is 73.87. If they all hit, I'm probably not interested in longs too much. Okay? So those are how those work. And we'll go over some stocks in a little bit that are over their expected moves as well. Okay? Now remember, in my Discord, this is free. Weekly, go to my Discord, go to weekly expected move, Confluence Trading expected move. Put this on your chart. It also goes on your app on your phone. It's an awesome thing, okay? Because 70% of the time the market closes within its expected range, to the downside and to the up. 70%. That's a big edge to have. So I wouldn't be playing calls in QQQ right now or SPY. It just doesn't make sense. It goes outside of probability. Can it happen? Yes, but there's a 30% chance that it happens. I like the 70% odds. I'm not saying short the market. I am saying it's overextended. Okay? Now, the options, remember, it's the tail that wags the dog. Is options. The tail that wags the dog. Right? And also you get my, just to say, get my levels here. All right? Those are gamma exposure flip points between positive and negative gamma. They act as pivot points. Now, we've been just so high above gamma flip points that they haven't really mattered. Okay? We're just so high above, we're in positive gamma. All right? And in positive gamma, okay, when you're in positive gamma, market makers and dealers, they sell rips and buy dips. So it makes the movement not as volatile, more controlled. Okay? Buy in dips, sell rips. Buy dips, sell rips. That's how it works in positive gamma. Negative gamma is woof. The market makers have to sell. They have to short with the market as the market goes down to hedge their positions to be delta neutral. So it's a different environment. Then when the market gets bought up, they have to buy back their shorts. Hence makes a very volatile market. Okay. Now, let's get into futures watch list here. All right, so silver is up 6%. Wow. Wow. Okay. Gold up 1.17. Dow's up 0.25. 30-year bonds are being bought. ES up 0.14. Russell's up 0.08. Nasdaq up is pretty much flat, up 0.05. The VIX is flat. Okay. Dollar down 0.15. Bitcoin down over 0.5%. 10-year yield down over 0.5%. Ethereum down 0.78%. The crude is down 4.80%. It's at $90.53 a barrel. That was at like 106. Okay. Not too long ago. So crude is pulling back, giving fuel even more to the market, even though they decoupled. That correlation, that inverse correlation, that one-to-one correlation is gone. Even when crude was pushing up, the market still was ripping up. So that inverse correlation is gone. Mag 7 Plus, let's look at it. Tesla's up 1.80% this morning. Microsoft up 1.23. Okay. GE up 1.20. Google up 0.85. Meta's up 0.41. Apple up 0.31. Netflix up 0.29. Okay, now, who's lagging today? Broadcom That's a major player in the QQQ, down over a 0.5%. Coinbase reports earnings today after the close, down 0.72. AMD has been on a meteoric parabolic rise. That is one of my larger positions in my portfolios, which that is a nice thing. Down 1.87. Okay, down 0.187. Right, semis are getting weak. Now, the market cap of AMD has definitely expanded. I know it surpassed Netflix. I'd have to really look at the list again of where that lines up with market cap weight, but it's becoming a beast. I hopefully one day it splits. That would be awesome. Okay, now top sectors. McDonald's up 3.26. The mining NEM up 2.87. Oracle up 2.61. Salesforce up 1.85. Palantir up 1.83. So it seems software is getting love this morning. Okay, Palantir. Okay. Datadog reported earnings this morning. Palo Alto was up. That's cybersecurity, right? ServiceNow is up 3% this morning. So software is getting some love today. Who is not getting love? United Healthcare down 0.36. Qualcomm has been on a meteoric rise as well. Down 0.71. That's barely anything. Chevron and Exxon are down. That's not a surprise. That's not a surprise. Okay. Let's go to the granular list here. Woo! Look at Datadog. Datadog up 28.31% on earnings. 40net up 16.06. Not sure if it looks like it's more of a sympathy play. Snowflake up 8.77. That's some software, right? DoorDash up 8.65. Unity Software up 6.30. Silver up 5%. We know that. Vistra up 4.87. ASTS 3.85. H&R Block up 3.5%. And Gold Junior Miners up 3%. Okay, Palo Alto up 3%. Now, who's lagging today? Shake Shack down 21.36%. Whirlpool down 21.12%. ARM, a semi, down 6.90%. IonQ, quantum computing, down 6.89%. Dutch Brothers, coffee, down 5.18%. They reported earnings. Domino's Pizza. Is that Domino's Pizza? Or is that Papa John's? I can't remember now. Down 3.79%. D-Wave, QTBS, quantum computing down 3.5%. Intel, a semi, down. Iris Energy, they are down. Okay? They report earnings soon. All right. Moving on to sectors. Sectors today. Discretionary is leading the pack, up 0.69. Remember, that's been lagging. Why is that? McDonald's. McDonald's is discretionary, even though people look at it as a staple. It's in the discretionary sector. So your Tesla, your McDonald's, getting love. Communications has not been the strongest as of late, up 0.18. And notice today is a different story. Technology is flat. This has been driving the markets every day. Today is flat. Remember I said QQQ has hit its expected move to the upside. Okay? Now, semiconductors down 0.82. They were down 1% earlier. And there's your laggard, energy. One down 1.63%. Not a surprise, right? Not a surprise. With crude down, Chevron and Exxon down. Not a surprise. Okay? Now, let's get into economic calendar, which there's not really craziness today. Tomorrow, obviously, we got the big non-farm payrolls on unemployment. All right, so today, initial jobs came today. It doesn't really move markets at all anymore. Okay? Then we have today Fed Hammock, Fed Williams. That's really it for today. If I want to talk about the earnings that are left, the only big one left is NVIDIA. Okay, let's look at that real quick. So, yesterday after the close, IonQ, ARM, right? They're both down. Dutch Bros is down, right? This morning, we had Celsius. That's that drink. Datadog we know about. And McDonald's getting love today. Okay. Today after the close, Iris Energy, CoreWeave, Coinbase, Affirm, Mercado Libre, Soundhound, Rocket Labs today, and Red Cat. Tomorrow before the open, Wendy's, AMC Networks. All right. Now, let's look at some schedule here. Trump's schedule, I don't really see anything here. Of course, he could talk is whenever he wants. Let's go to juice here. I don't really see anything here. Moving markets. Let's see here. Let's see if there's any kind of roundup here for stocks. If there's not, then there's not. Let's just see. And we see McDonald's, ARM. Guess not. Guess there's not a roundup here. It's okay. We'll move on to more news. ARMS. Share slides as concerns over AI chip supply overshadow upbeat forecast. ARM Holdings tumbled as investor worries about the company's ability to secure sufficient supplies for its new AI chip to meet demand, overshadowing its strong forecast. Wall Street bonuses seen flat to slightly positive in 2026 as the Iran war and private credit turmoil hurt. Tesla's China-made EV sales jumped 36%. That is why Tesla is up. Okay. Let's see here. What else do I have to talk about here? Fortinet, we know. Uber raises target price to 105 from 100. Walt Disney raises target price to 139 from 138. All right, I think that's it, folks. I think that's it. Yep, that's it. All right. What we're going to do, we're going to get into internals. My bread and butter. All right. My internals with ticks told me we were going up all day. Okay. Told me we were just going to go up all day. And that's what we did. That's what we did. Okay. So, tech up 1.26%. Communications up 0.88. Discretionary up 0.65. Industrial. I mean, you're not going to go down with those up like that. Okay. You had a little weakness in financials. That's not going to mean much. Okay. I actually saw technology is actually up, is like 36% now of the market cap weight, which is friggin' ridiculous. All right. I told you, where tech goes, the market goes. Okay. Look at the build here. You pulled back. That was that pullback. And then it just built. And then you saw Trump later on say something about the peace deal is near, or nuclear. They agreed not to have a nuclear weapon or something like that. It was just going to juice the markets. Okay. Let's move on to daily charts now. Okay. Now again, new all-time highs. It's just, this market just has a lot of momentum. Okay. And of course, RSI is just being pinned from here as overbought. But like I said, I just don't trade on RSI. That's a fool's errand. You do see my weekly expected move is right up here. And like I said, when I get all three hitting that and they stay around it, a pullback is probably coming. Okay? Is it easy to do it? No. But a pullback is probably on the horizon today or tomorrow. We'll have to see. All right, so what did we do? Right? Gap and go. Look, you gapped above all these daily candles. Pretty much almost an exhaustion gap above last week's highs. You close at the highs. There's nothing to say. It's bullish, right? Futures. I mean, look at this. That was just sideways for so long. A little burst, and then boom. Look at that. That was a nice move yesterday. Okay. And now look, you took out that high. I mean, there's no resistance above us, so it's bullish. I mean, until it's not. Okay, Qs. Remember, we hit the weekly expected move. You can clearly see it. Okay, we are at 696.61, 696.61, right? You're now, well, in futures, you're back inside yesterday's range. Futures, you're back inside yesterday's range. In as far as the QQQ, you're above yesterday's highs. Okay, remember, if this lollygags around this expected move to the upside, I expect a pullback. Now, I did get some put the call ratio alerts as well yesterday. Let's look at futures before I get into that. Futures, get rid of this. Look, you took out that high, but now you're coming back in a little bit. We'll have to see what happens today. Okay? We'll have to see what happens today. Now, look at the breadth. Interesting, the breadth actually for the 50% of the stocks over the 50-day moving average actually got worse yesterday. Okay? Opened here, came here. 55% of stocks over their 50-day moving average. That is still middling. It's not really that impressive. Let's look at the RSP. RSP finally made an all-time high yesterday, but then look, pulled right back. Right? That's this RSP, everything was equal. Right? This is equal weight, right? Look at this chart. And now look at the SPY. Boop. Does not look like the same chart, right? That's where market cap weight matters. Market cap weight matters. Now, I was just going to talk about something, and I said, hold on a second. I don't remember what it was. I just was going to say, let's not go into that yet. And I'm forgetting what I was going to talk about. What the heck was I going to talk about? I don't remember. Great. All right, now, as far as weekly expected moves, let's get into it. Okay? We can go one by one. Apple. Okay? Its weekly expected move is 291.54. We are $3 away. Let's go Microsoft. Microsoft is not close to its weekly expected move. It's kind of middling, see, in between. Amazon is weekly expected move is 280. It's not like that. Remember, discretionary has not been the strongest. Tesla is not by its expected move either. Remember, discretionary has been weaker. Google. Yes, last week it hit its expected move. Let's see this week. All right, so 403. We're close. We're very close. Okay, let's go to a drop down to let's go to a 4 hour. You hit it. Pre-market, you hit it. Okay, it's a better way to look at it. Okay, pre-market, we hit the expected move to the upside. It's a better way to look at it. Okay, Meta. Last week it hit its expected move to the downside. All right, so Meta's middling. Okay, Meta's middling. Remember, that's communications. That's also hasn't got the much love lately. Nvidia. Ooh, it's coming close. That expected move to the upside is 210. It's coming close. All right, that's a big one. Okay, AMD. Now I had earnings, and look what it's doing. It's uncanny how these expected moves kind of hold the market. Look at this. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Look right there, right now at the expected move. Because my script, has to factor in earnings, right? So the moves are going to be bigger because of earnings. Still works right on that expected move. Okay? Moving on. Let's go to Netflix. Netflix actually has hit its expected move to the downside. I want to show you what it does when it hits that level. Look what it does. Look at that. It's just holding that level. That is just insane. Every time I look at this, I'm like, this is crazy because it's the options market. Okay? So I wouldn't short Netflix here. Get what I'm saying? All right. Let's go to Broadcom. All right. Broadcom is like very middling. There's the expected move to the down. It's just in the middle. Okay. Let's do GE. GE last week it hit its expected move to the downside. Now look, it's broken to the upside and it's breaking the. Now this is the case. When you start running away from the expected move to the upside, this could really push because now it's breaking all of the dynamics of options and it's unexpected. That's when you really can run. But you notice how AMD playing around, Netflix playing around with it. Okay? Now Coinbase reports earnings. Let's look at that expected move. Now remember, it's earnings, so I have to squish this. There's the expected moves. 219, 163. And it's in the middle. That makes sense because earnings are going to report. Okay? And then, of course, let's just go back to our QQQ. Okay, there's the expected move. Look what we're doing. We're playing with it. Until we rip up this, for me, if I was going to do a swing play, I would not be going long QQQ. All right, let's look at the SPY. SPY member is coming up to it. I might even have touched it today. Pre-market. Oh, yeah. It did touch it. Look at that. Pre-market, it touched the expected move. If we lollygag around here, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't mean you sell off. It just means that probably the upside's done. All right. Let's go to the Dow. The Dow is not by its expected move. Okay. Let's go one more to IWM. Oh, IWM said it's expected to move to the upside. Okay, so now we have SPY, QQQ, expected move hit. One last one, the piece of the puzzle, SPX. Now SPX, you don't really get pre-market data, okay? But that expected move is right here. Let's see. Now this, I do see a bid in the ask. The ask is at 73.89, which would have breached the expected move to the upside. So, like I said, I'm cautious now with longs. It doesn't mean you can't go up a little bit in a day trade. Okay, that does not mean that. Let me just change this. So, again, before we get off this, all you have to do is join my Discord and put this on your chart. It's awesome. It's really awesome. Okay? Don't take it from me. Put it on your chart. You will see reactions to these moves, to these levels. Okay? Based on the options market. Now let's move over to hourlies. There's not much to dive into here, but I wanted you to make sure you saw the weekly expected moves. because that puts me on a warning of, all right, longs are overextended. Okay, so if we're looking at hourlies, right? Let's look at this. Okay, now all-time highs are up here. We're just trading in a range right now. ES is currently gapping up. Okay, clearly a level around 73.80. This support needs to hold. You have multiple demand zones above here to go higher. Okay, so and even these demands means that you have some structure that won't get ripped apart. And how we've been moving isn't really that poor structure here. Look at this, kind of like ranged, pushed up, ranged, pushed up, ranged, pushed up. So that's very healthy move. It's not just doing this. Okay, so it's not going to be easy unless news comes out to take all that out. That's what we're dealing with. There's the gap, unfilled gap from yesterday. It's still, you have to be bullish. Okay, but we're overextended. Remember RSI, we have now the weekly expected move. So, like I said, I don't just short because of that. It's just data points. All right, let's look at NASDAQ. Now remember, NASDAQ's been driving the train. Today, we are not gapping up. We're back inside yesterday's range. Okay? So the support you're going to look at there is your 28636. Okay? But the same kind of thing. Okay? See this movement? That's not the best structure. That can get ripped apart. Okay? But when you kind of do this, right? And then look, you pull back. Look at this. It's not just vertical. Now, you have a little bit here, sideways, pushed up, sideways. So you have a lot of trading in here. Like I said, we need something to really move this market lower. That's a lot of structure to cut through. Okay? Like I said, I think your immediate support is a 26836, and then you got to look at this equal low at 28510. Okay? We could find ourselves pulling back here. I don't know. I'm just saying I'm collecting the data points. That's all I could do. Okay? They're just information. It's like if you're investigating a crime. Maybe you got footprints. Maybe you got DNA. But it's not the whole thing, right? You got to just use it in context and not just jump the gun. I'm not going to convict somebody based on, well, DNA is pretty good. But like on a fingerprint or whatever. You get what I'm saying. Let's look at market profile. Let's look at market profile. Okay, here we are. Now, as it's beautifully laid out here, again, I'll explain it. All right, so we have market profile, then volume profile. All right, market profile is time-based, volume profile is volume-based. Okay, a lot of times they look the same, but they serve two different purposes. Okay, now we have a small gap. Small gap. Okay, so let's get into scenarios. Long and short trade. Oh my lord. Give me one sec, folks. I just messed up here. Give me one sec, folks. Let me just fix this. Okay. I think I fixed it. All right. Here's your long and short trade scenarios on the ES. Okay, now what we want to do is mark up our gap fills, 73.95s. Okay. 50% retracement of yesterday, 73.61s. Now, right away, our most traded price of the week is 72.87s all the way down here. We need to move that up here. That's might happen today. If you don't, you're going to return back to value. And that's actually where the week to date anchor view up, month to date anchor view up is. Okay? Going to be mindful of that. So right off the bat, let's break out the session. Remember, black area is yesterday's regular trading hours, 9:30 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. That's where you have the close here, right? And then this session is all the overnight activity from 4:16 till now. Okay? Now look, the overnight VPOC is right here. You have a couple demand zones here. Now bulls have the momentum. Let's not get it twisted. Bulls have momentum. I'm not here to be a bear. All right, I'm very open. Very, very open. Okay? Can maybe expand this a little bit. All right, let's draw these lines one more time. So we got our gap fill, our 50% retracement, 73.61. Okay, let's get into it. Start off with the longs. Okay, so very balanced session in the overnight. Small gap, small. Okay, not like yesterday's big gap. Okay, so what would I like to see? Okay, now two things can happen here. First one, if we come up, make all-time highs, break the overnight highs, okay, I'm not going to trade that. But if we do that and we then pull back to the overnight most traded price and gap fill and the demand, and you get support with the higher low, you go long, okay, you attack the high day and see if we can move up. Okay? If you pull back a little deeper into yesterday's most traded price around 73.86s and even dip down into this demand, okay, that starts around 73.83s. If you get support, okay, in this demand or even at the overnight lows, 73.77s, and you retest the 73.87s, that's a long, and you target the high day and see if you can go into all-time high territory. It's kind of all I'd be interested in. Now, if we went back to the 50% retracement of yesterday, don't get me wrong, can that be bought? But being that we're in the environment that we're in, RSI's overbought, expected moves have been hit, I'm less excited about a long here. So I'm going to keep it there. Okay? Now, shorts. Let's talk about a short. Now, of course, if we drive, gap and go, boom, make new all-time highs. But then we get a wick and we sweep and we close back inside the overnight range. You get a lower high. Now, if you rip through this overnight VPOC, which is around 73.97s, 98s, right here, you're going to get the flush down to 73.90s. Right below, that's the most traded price of yesterday. If you can crack that, you're going to go to the overnight lows, 73.77s. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. If tech semis get outflows today, okay, and the market starts to accept price below the overnight lows and below 73.87s, this can fall, okay, down to the midpoint of yesterday. If you get through this bullish for value gap at 73.48, you're going clear to the top of the gap, yesterday's low, 73.27. If it gets very squirrely and the market starts to take profits, you are going to fill the gap down to 7,300. and maybe even hit the most traded price of the week, 72.87. Okay, I think this might be in the cards today because of all the factors that I just said. Right now, the only thing in the future of the market in the way is Nvidia's earnings. We're through with all the major earnings. Okay? It's all I'm interested in right there. Okay? Now, conservatively, if you want to wait to the 73.86s to be taken out, the most traded price of yesterday, and you get a retest, and you see the market's outflows are coming out of tech, you can also short there and try to take a short here and try to ride it down, all right, to yesterday's lows, 73.27s, and then see if you can hold on to fill the gap. Okay, that is your ES. Now, go to the NASDAQ. Remember, the NASDAQ is not gapping up currently. Okay, it's a lot of volume here trading. Okay, so let's get into the NASDAQ long and short trade scenarios here. All right, let's break out the session. We have a pretty decent key level to go off today. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. So let's mark off some levels. There's two 8814s. Basically, the 288s and the 28814 to 14 is you have this equal high or a weak high, confluence high, okay, whatever. It's an area of resistance, okay? Then the other thing we're going to go for is the 50% retracement of yesterday is 28568. Happens to line up with the most traded price of yesterday and a demand zone. Okay? So, remember, QQQ has hit its expected move. Okay? Which is the NASDAQ 100. They're the same. This NQ futures. So, now we are in a major demand zone here. That is no doubt about this. We have a demand zone at 27817 all the way down to 28637. Okay? We have another demand zone from 28610 to 28512 with a bullish FEG in there as well, starting at 28837. That's all fine and dandy. All right? This could definitely support the market and we can go higher. Okay? So, let's get right into scenarios, and we're going to start with the bull side because they have momentum. So, what would I like to see? Okay, we're at the most traded price of the overnights right now, 28739s. We're very balanced. So, we're going to move up or down. If we move down and take out the overnight low, right, and we come into this bullish FEG or demand zone, or even touch the 28580 is the most traded price of yesterday. If you get support here and you get a higher low, you are going to attack the overnight highs. Okay, 28814, and that's a key resistance level. You pop through, whoop, you can see if we can go into Never Never Land up to 29,000. Okay. Now, yesterday, some days semis become a lagger early and then people just buy them. Right? So that's what happened yesterday. It happened another day too. It was like the lagger. So I don't know. All I know is they have momentum. Now look at this. Most traded price of the week right now is 279. Look how far away price is from it. It's all the way down here. And look, the volume is tapering. Hence, we're due for some type of pullback, right? Now, what happens is price, there's two things that happens here, right? This is value. There's price. If value does not move up to price, price returns back to value. So I'll have my mind on that. Now, if the most traded price of the week puts us up to here, it will just confirm again the bulls are in control, which they are, but it's more of a structure and price is just more bullish. Okay? Now, that's probably the only long I'm interested in, to be honest with you. Now, what could we do as well? I'll give you one more. If we do, boom, break up and go, wow, we just broke highs again. And let's say we find acceptance above the 2880, to 288s, right? And we just hold, and the market's ticks are strong, and everything's strong. You probably just buy one pullback to go higher. Okay, that shows acceptance above that resistance level. Most likely we go higher. Okay, but that's about all I'm interested in. Okay, now if we move to shorts, okay, this is where it gets interesting. Okay, so what would I want to see? Well, make new all-time highs, right? Boom, thin out, come back, put a lower high in. Now, what I would love to see is semis, technology, the laggard off the open. Okay, now, if you short here, your first step is going to be this most traded price of the overnights, which is 28732s. If you push through that, you should land right at the overnight lows, 28637s. Now remember, this is part of our long, so it won't be easy, okay? But if it shows you it's easy and does one of these, whoop, goes down to the midpoint of yesterday, okay? This where right here, and let's say it takes out this demand, but then it comes back, retests the 28568s, most traded price yesterday, and now the market starts to get weak. You're going to come down, hit the top of that gap. That's yesterday's lows, okay? 28336s, and then try to fill that gap all the way down to the 28189s. And if this gets really, really bad, you go all the way down to the most traded price of the week, last week's highs, and that's 279s. This would be in conjunction with the RSI that's oversold and all major indexes hitting the weekly expected move to the upside. I don't know if this happens, okay? But it's more in the cards, okay? It's more in the cards. Now, conservatively, if you're like, I don't know, you want to wait to take out all that demand and then wait for the retest of yesterday's 50% retracement and the most traded price, which would be 28568s, and then you can short and see if you can ride that puppy down. Now, this has to have tech get outflows today and stay that way. I don't know if that will happen. All right, that's it for me. Now, overall market analysis. Here's the theme of today. We have an RSI that's overbought. Okay. We have SPY, QQQ, IWM, SPX has all hit the weekly expected moves to the upside. Now remember, when those levels are played with, they're kind of hanging out, it's showing me right there that this is overextended. The options market did not price in moves above these levels, and it just gives me a little data point. Oh, I know what I was going to show you guys earlier now that I remember, is the put to call ratio. Now the put to call ratio is showing that nobody's buying puts. What does that tell me? People are complacent. People think the market's going to go up forever. That's what that tells me. It's just another data point. Okay? With all that combined, this market can still move higher. But now there's more data. A pullback is probably coming. Okay? Today, I still lean long. But if we pull back a little farther, I don't think I'm willing to be a buyer on a big dip. I think that we're due for some kind of pullback. Does it come? It doesn't have to come. And of course, when the market opens, I'm still going to analyze it like I would any other day. I just know when I see all of these indexes hit the weekly expected move and they're playing around with it, you tend to get a pullback. Okay? And this is not an all-out bear assault. It's not a crash. So I'm a little hesitant today. Okay? That's all I have to say for today. All right? Now, that is it, folks. Smash that like button if you enjoyed that analysis. I hope you did. That would mean a lot to me. Okay, now, I do this every morning. Subscribe, set that alert. Give you the market story, the market news, the economic calendar, leaders and laggards, technical analysis, and I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios in the ES and the NASDAQ futures. Okay? Now, if you want more in-depth coverage, you're going to join my Discord. That's Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link, and sign up. What are you waiting for? Let me be your indicator. Remember, if you join my Discord, you get the gamma flip points. You get the weekly expected move indicator. You get me calling the market out live, and then I show daily receipts of timestamps of what I'm seeing. Okay? And then at the end of the week, you get a summary of my trades and all the things my scenarios hit or did not hit. So just come join. Come join in the room, ask questions. All right? I will not steer you wrong. Trust me, I will not. All right? Now, everybody, we have our plans. We have our plans. Do they come to fruition? Nobody knows. All right? Now, if you have a process, follow it. No trade's a trade. Hope everybody has a great day. Remember, tomorrow's non-farm payrolls and unemployment. Add to the fireworks, then probably Michigan consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. So, if I don't see you in my Discord, I will see everybody tomorrow.